Your hands are shaking. You just hung up the phone, or walked out of the room, or read the same text message for the third time. Your jaw is tight. Your heart is slamming like you just sprinted somewhere, and you haven't moved an inch. Most people call this losing control. They say the anger got the better of them. But that's not what's happening inside your body right now. The real answer is far stranger. You are not malfunctioning. You are running a program that is at least 2 million years old, and it was never built for the moment you're standing in. Picture a hominid on the savannah 300,000 years ago. A rival from another group is standing too close to his water source. There is no police officer to call, no manager to file a complaint to, no social norm gently nudging the rival away. There is only his body and what his body can do in the next 10 seconds. So his body gets ready to fight. Blood drains from his stomach and floods into his arms and legs. His pupils widen. His skin goes pale because blood vessels near the surface constrict, redirecting flow to the muscles that might need to throw a punch or swing a branch. His breathing speeds up to feed oxygen to those same muscles, and his hands begin to tremble, not from weakness, but from a body so flooded with energy it can barely contain it. This is the exact physiology happening in your body right now, after a text message. In 1915, a physiologist named Walter Cannon gave this response a name that's now so common you've probably used it without thinking: fight or flight. Cannon was studying how animals respond to threat, and he noticed something that still holds up under a century of research. The body doesn't distinguish much between a predator and a provocation. It just floods the system and waits for you to do something with it. Here's the strange part. You didn't do anything with it. You put your phone down. You sat in traffic. You stood in the kitchen. The ancient program fired exactly as designed, prepared your body for a physical confrontation that never happened, and now you're left holding all of that unused energy with nowhere to send it. That's the shaking. That's the racing heart. It isn't anxiety. It's a hunting and fighting response with no hunt and no fight. But why does a slow driver, or a rude comment, or a passive-aggressive email trigger the same machinery built for life-or-death combat? This is where most explanations stop. At anger is a survival instinct. But that's not quite right either, and the real research is even stranger than that. In the early 2000s, an evolutionary psychologist named Aaron Sell, working alongside researchers John Tooby and Letta Cosmides at UC Santa Barbara, asked a question nobody had really tested properly. If anger evolved purely to prepare you for violence, you'd expect the angriest people to also be the most likely to win a fight. Stronger people, bigger people, people who could actually back up the threat. And that's exactly what they found. Sell's research measured upper body strength in men and found a direct correlation with how quickly and how intensely they reported feeling angry in everyday conflicts. The stronger the person, physically, the faster their anger spiked, and the more willing they felt to escalate a disagreement. Women showed something related but distinct. Their anger correlated more closely with their attractiveness, which research suggests functioned as its own kind of leverage in ancestral social bargaining, since both physical strength and attractiveness operate as currencies of social power. This led Sell, Tooby, and Cosmides to a theory now called the recalibration theory of anger. Anger isn't really about violence at all. Anger is a bargaining tool. When you feel that hot flush of fury, your brain isn't necessarily preparing you to throw a punch. It's running a calculation. It's asking the people around you to recalculate how much they value you, how much they respect your boundaries, and how much it would cost them to keep treating you the way they're treating you. Think about the last time you were truly angry at someone close to you. Did you actually want to hurt them? Probably not. What you wanted was for them to understand, immediately and completely, that something needed to change. That's the bargaining chip. Your shaking hands, your tight jaw, your raised voice, all of it is a costly, visible signal that says, I am willing to escalate this if you don't take me seriously. And the people around you, across hundreds of thousands of years, learn to read that signal and adjust accordingly, because the alternative was risking an actual fight with someone who clearly meant it. So who, exactly, makes you angriest? A psychologist named James Averill ran a study in the 1980s that's still cited constantly today. He asked ordinary people to keep diaries of every time they got angry over several weeks, who triggered it, how intense it was, what they did about it. The findings surprised almost everyone who read them, including Averill himself. Strangers barely registered. Random rude people on the street caused brief irritation that faded within minutes. The people who made participants the angriest, most consistently, with the longest-lasting fury, were the people closest to them. Spouses, close friends, family members, people they loved. At first, that seems backward. Why would the people you trust most provoke the deepest anger? But it fits the bargaining theory perfectly. You don't bother negotiating with a stranger you'll never see again. There's no relationship to recalibrate. But with someone whose treatment of you actually matters, someone whose behavior will affect you for years, your brain treats every slight as a high-stakes negotiation about your future. The closer the relationship, the higher the stakes, the louder the ancient alarm. This is also why anger fades so fast once you feel heard. It's not really about punishing the other person. It's about getting the recalibration you were demanding. The moment someone says, "You're right, I'm sorry, that was unfair," the negotiation closes. The body stands down. The shaking stops. Notice what doesn't close the negotiation. A text message left on read. An argument that ends with someone walking away mid-sentence. A boss who nods and changes nothing. Modern life is full of conflicts that never resolve in the way your nervous system expects, because there's no clear signal of surrender, no clear signal of victory, nothing to tell the ancient program that the negotiation is over. So the body just keeps running, hours later, sometimes days later. You'll catch yourself rehearsing the argument in the shower, refining the comeback you didn't say, still negotiating with someone who isn't even in the room. That's not you being petty. That's an unresolved bargaining protocol still searching for a closing signal it's never going to get. There's a deeper layer underneath all of this, one Charles Darwin noticed all the way back in 1872. He observed that human anger looks almost identical across every culture he studied, the same bared teeth, the same narrowed eyes, the same forward lean. He concluded this wasn't learned behavior. It was inherited, the same way a dog's hackles rise without anyone teaching it to do that. Which means every flash of anger you've ever felt connects you to something far older than any argument you've ever had. The clenched fist over a parking spot, the raised voice in a group chat, the cold silence after being interrupted one too many times. All of it traces back to a creature standing near a water source, deciding whether this fight was worth having. Here's what makes this strange instead of just interesting. You live in a world almost completely emptied of physical threats, and yet your body still runs the oldest physical threat response it has, dozens of times a week, over things that can never actually be solved with strength. A slow internet connection, a delayed flight, a coworker who takes credit for your idea in a meeting. None of these can be punched into submission, but your body doesn't know that. It only knows the one tool it was given. Maybe that's the part worth sitting with the next time your hands start trembling. It isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that something inside you is still trying to protect something it has decided matters, using the only language it has ever known how to speak. Your hands are shaking. And somewhere underneath the phone you just put down, the kitchen you're standing in, the argument that technically ended minutes ago, a creature from 300,000 years ago is still waiting to find out if the negotiation worked.